right, here we go. Hey, everybody. You're listening to Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio, featuring John Ross and Chris Smith.
Hello.
And we're here for an all-star, star-studded, star-spangled banner of a show, John.
Is it studded or spangled?
It's both. Both.
I'm feeling studded myself. I don't know about you.
Well, here in this celebritocracy, this is our election year tribute fiasco hoopla. And John is...
Or
Well, yes?
I have made a special trip because I'm so committed to this broadcast. I have gone to our nation's capital just to do this broadcast so that I can embrace and downright ooze patriotism.
Yeah, you are in D.C., correct?
I am in Washington, D.C., and I'm sitting here at a Kramer book.
Excuse me.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the pneumonia. It's back.
The pneumonia is back. I am here at a place where the cognoscenti and intelligentsia go to drink coffee and get books. And I'm attending a conference here, and I must say that even though I now have to make a dig against academia, including those who are not in academia but pretend they are, which is that even as the polls are getting better for Trump, and even as Nate Silver and Nate Cohn and 18 other guys get named Nate keep diminishing Hillary Clinton's likelihood of winning the election, many in the academic elite refuse to even entertain questions about what would happen if Trump wins. And I've just been in the classic bubble, the elitist bubble of people who rant and rave about we have to do things based on statistics and facts and empirical evidence, except when the statistics and facts and empirical evidence go against what they want to believe, and then they just deny that it even exists. So, welcome to America. It's such a grand place.
That's right, and let's kick it off here. I dug through the junk mail at the Trinidad, Colorado post office, the trash can there, and found some lovely pieces of mail from the Colorado Republican Committee. John, I'll give you a statement, and you tell me if it means anything. This election is not just about who lives here, next to a picture of the White House.
Who lives here, the White House? Yes. Okay.
Is that true?
I think it's always not about who lives in the White House. Yeah.
So does it mean anything?
I think it does. And, what I was planning to do as we move closer to inauguration is kind of have some of at least my contributions to our discussions in the coming weeks talk about the Obama legacy and et cetera. And if Clinton loses this race, I think the Obama legacy is seriously tarnished, not just historically, but in terms of programs, policies, et cetera. So, yeah, I think it does now. If you don't like the Obama policies, then...
Why are you're trying to distract me? You're trying to distract me. I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you saw Obama's speech today, what will go down in infamy as his hold up speech. Did you see this?
He's invoking ESPN language, isn't he?
Hold up. Back to the junk mail that I got here. Hillary Clinton will Hillary Clinton will destroy American values. True, false, meaningless?
No, not true. She may wind up in jail, but she's not going to destroy American values.
What are American values?
Rampant raping and pillaging of people who don't have anything. No, she unfettered clean democracy. In fact, I don't think she will tarnish that. I think what's likelier is that if she wins, Trump, for very good tactical reasons, given what the headlines say, will cry and stomp his little feet and say that democracy, that we were rigged. So, no, I don't think that's true. I think she probably will not make it into the presidency for 4 years, much less 4 months, but I do not think she will kill American values as we know them.
Two more quotes from this piece of junk mail that I got out of the trash, brought to us by the Colorado Republican Committee. It's a quote from Newsweek from Alvin Rabushanka, May 24th, 2016. Quote, I hear the Supremes behind you, John. John is live in Washington, D.C. with the Supremes. Is that the notorious RBG behind you?
Yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is rapping, and she's grabbing Kanye West's private parts while she does it.
It's great to hear other voices in your environment, and
these are the voices of our nation's capital.
Okay.
Proud may she wave. Oh, I mixed up my metaphors. Sorry.
Comment on this quote. A 5-vote liberal majority on the court will enable Clinton to remake the United States.
What is she going to do? Like, change the colors of the flag? Is she going to go from red, white, and blue to orange and teal with a little purple trimming? Like, what does that mean? Well, no, this is just, look, the thing is that when you've had a working ideological majority on the Supreme Court, as the conservatives and Republicans have had since Reagan, who, was arguably the last transformative president, of course you're going to say that. That's like making America great again. So to a certain extent, yes, if she gets a majority on the Supreme Court, she will undo that transformation with more of an Obama-ist transformation, yes. But the Republican strategy for the Supreme Court is to let them die off. They're not going to vote on anybody. They're just waiting for justices to die. It's like, this is how we're going to save money. We're not going to vote on either. We're just let them die. 7, 6. It'll be like a countdown at Cape Canaveral. 7, 6, 5.
And then one day we just have a whole new court? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. It sounds like a John Grisham novel. I'm sure John Grisham could write something about this, and it would be. He already wrote the Pelican Brief, which is about essentially killing members of the Supreme Court. So
that's right. America needs you on November 8th.
Harry Truman. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's this piece of junk mail I got. I didn't get it. I pulled it out of the trash.
Now wait a minute. Colorado is an all mail-in ballot state. Are you sure that there's not a ballot in there?
I'm positive. These are
okay.
Glossy pieces of paper that I literally pulled out of a trash can that say paid for by the Colorado Republican Committee, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee. And I was told by CNN 20 minutes before I found these that Colorado is the swingingest state in the union.
Does that mean that there's a lot of spouse swapping? What does that mean?
That's what CNN told me, and I found it riveting because I thought it was all mail in and we're all set, but really no, it's the swingingest.
Swing state?
Well, I think that's what they meant, or perhaps they were just trying to grab attention.
Maybe it's the marijuana thing. Maybe CNN's been into the Glenwood Springs Green or whatever they're smoking out there. Statistically, Virginia is the swingingest in that it has been closest during the last 2 elections to the actual margin of victory. So the last 2 years, whatever Obama won by, Virginia in both cases, the margin of victory in those elections was the closest to the overall margin. Colorado was pretty close, but Virginia is so if that makes Virginia the swingingest, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Virginia is for lovers, is what they say.
Virginia is for lovers. Virginia is for lovers. The other interesting thing is that CNN told me today although I didn't need to go to CNN to do it, but I was having lunch and in a restaurant. First was showing me some kind of like gossip show, then went to CNN, then went to the Golf Channel. Very strange. And while it was on CNN, CNN took New Hampshire out of the Clinton column and put it into the swing state column, which was significant in that it dropped her beyond below the 270 vote threshold. And I'm sure, Democrats and Clintonites all over the world, like they started throwing up in their mouths or, upchucking or taking Pepto-Bismol by the case or whatever. This looks like 1980. You were barely alive in 1980.
But I was alive. I was there.
You were alive.
Barely
you were toddling around.
Thank you.
But in 1980, like the final weekend going to the election, it was like a 1 or 2 point race, and the polls said it was, within the margin of error, and then Reagan won by 9. And to me, even though it defies all logic and who's got the ground game and all, I feel like that's what might be happening here. Maybe not 9 points, but
I was gonna say, you're not saying Trump by 9.
No, I'm saying that momentum clearly is on Trump's side, and that even Nate, I've been reading Nate Silver the last couple of days because I'm in Washington. I'm at a conference, and Nate Silver is God. And Nate Silver has said that while Clinton's lead now, going into the final 72 hours before the election, is actually a little bigger than Obama's was 4 years ago, her lead is a lot softer than his and much more vulnerable because he was ahead, by that 3-4 point margin in all of the swing states. I mean, he won every swing state with almost exactly 51%. And that, at least according to his projections, she was a Florida loss away from losing the election. So I think this is, again, even though many in the elite cognoscenti here refuse to even entertain questions about whether Trump might be elected.
Is that something you saw go down? That's something you saw go down?
No, I was at a session yesterday on the election, and there were people in the crowd. This is an academic and well-degreed professional, policy wonk group. And, clearly, I don't think there was anybody in that hall at lunch who was a Trump supporter. But, I asked a fairly softball question to someone. Well, let's just say Trump does win. How is he going to govern? That kind of question.
Ooh, you said that? And what happened?
She couldn't answer. I can't even think of. This is somebody who's being paid, to be on a panel, a feature panel where there's no competition, a lunch panel at a meeting of policy people. You gotta use this stuff. It's like, what is this? This is just it. And the thing is, they're all complaining. Well, here's the demographics, and it's response to the elites, and they don't like elites, and that's what the Trump voter is, and all of that's right. But then you can't come out and dump on them for being anti-elitist and not using facts to make their argument, or relying on conspiracy theories, and then you refuse to acknowledge empirical evidence that the polls have severely tightened, and that this race, every national tracking poll, we're within the margin of error. Her leads are 3-4 points in 2 national tracking polls this morning. 2 others, they're even or he's ahead. That's margin of error. That's toss-up. By any methodological framework in polling, that's toss-up. Now, she could be ahead by 6 or 7 points with a 3 or 4 point lead within the margin of error, but she could also be down 1. And the reality that people just don't want to acknowledge the possibility of this. In 72 hours, Saturday, Sunday, 96 hours, they could be very, very disappointed. Luckily, I'm not in Chicago, where 5 million people went to a parade today. So, I would not want to be there with 5 million people because that's double the population of the city. So that's not exactly where I want to be.
And the people that are, all in for Trump, they're getting written off by the folks that you're hanging out at that conference with, in saying, yeah, it's a response to elites, it's a demographic shift, it's a blah, blah, blah. Is it like a redneck Occupy movement?
No, I think no. That's not. I mean, to the credit of the two of the people on the panel who've done really good work analyzing the Trump voter and not being, they're saying if you're just saying that the Trump voter is some idiot redneck, you're wrong. So not that. It's just that. No, I think what they spoke to and what I think is real is that and this is why I think the Republican Party is imploding because. And it will implode faster if somehow Trump wins. Because how are they going to govern? I mean, how do you put people in government who represent this constituency if that constituency, especially on the foreign policy side, has no bench? I mean, there's nobody foreign policy. That mindset, the nativist, closed. Well, those Republicans, national security, intelligence, defense, the diplomatic people, they all support Clinton. So, I mean, it's much harder for the Republicans if Trump wins than if he loses. And even if he loses narrowly, it's very difficult because I don't think the party leadership ever had any notion or there's certainly no desire for him to win. And now if he wins, it's kind of like, oh, geez. Don't you think this is much worse for the party if he wins?
Well, the GOP had to have disintegrated prior to the rise of Trump to some extent. It's interesting, John Boehner's name doesn't come up anymore. And now, CNN also told me today that they may be replacing Paul Ryan. Or he may be replacing Paul Ryan. I think that the implosion of the GOP is now just an after effect of Trump. This has already happened and already gone down.
And you know what's happening Monday? They are doing auditions Monday for Trump TV. That this came out. That they put out auditions. They put out an open call for on-air news and journalistic talent to audition on Monday for Trump. So, if he wins, can they have that? Can they
Sure.
I don't know. I guess
what
that would be.
What can't you have in Trump's America? What will you not be allowed to have?
You will. I don't know what you will be allowed to have, but you will have to keep minorities and immigrants under your floorboards.
I'm sorry. During this broadcast, I'm going to apply to be a talking head on Trump TV. That's right, folks. You heard it here first. I'll shake the dust of this podcast off my feet and sell out to Trump TV.
So here's my question.
Would you, John?
TV.
Would you do it?
Would I do what?
Will you join me in being a team of correspondents on the newly launched Trump TV?
No, maybe we can sell trigger warnings to Trump television.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Trump made us an offer, should we take it?
I think it would. We should take it, but we can't call it radical empathy.
Why
have to call it something else. Because they don't want radical. Because they don't want radical empathy. But we could come up with something. Like two. How would you call ourselves? Two only slightly angry white guys.
I don't think it's not about what it means. It's about what it sounds like, and it sounds great. That's all you need.
I like it.
All right. Well, we're in.
Maybe if we use radical empathy, we could change our slogan to "Make America Relate Again." How's that?
That's too much.
How about make America bait again?
Once Trump,
the thing is that every show on Trump TV is going to have that tagline. There's going to be a fishing show called whatever it's called, is going to be the tagline's going to be "Make America Bait Again," and then there's going to be like a show for singles, like like a dating game, and it's going to be "Make America Date Again," and this is what they're going to do. They're going to every show is going to have a theme that goes along the lines of that. So, we can do, there can be a sex show called Make America Orate Again. It's going to be perfect.
Yeah, I heard they already got Cosby to sign on. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to even go
Cosby
there,
is
but
good.
you, the great American listener, can drop in the appropriate word and you'll get the title of that show. It's horrible, John. It's horrible that the election has come to this. It is
that it's come to
absolutely...
whether we're going to that the election has come to auditioning for Trump television.
Well, long before that. I mean, it was horrible weeks ago, and it's horrible today, right? And it's horrible that it's raining down leaked information, proving that the one viable candidate that we're all supposed to feel reasonable and trust, that information has rained down to such an extent that nobody can weather the shitstorm. I don't know anybody that's weathered. Do you know anybody that's weathered the shitstorm?
You mean, as in people on the email?
I mean, yes, names that have been dropped in among WikiLeaks that have not suffered.
Well, I think that if you depending on how you look at how he has responded to certain external factors that have been contained in some of these exposed emails, I think John Podesta actually looks pretty good. John Podesta looks like a pretty reasonable, honest manager and somebody who really, is trying to get rid of this, this island or insular mindset that exists among the old Clintonites. So I think in a lot of ways Podesta comes out okay. He's got to change his email address and his provider, but other than that, I think he's doing fine.
I don't know, man. These email leaks are really fresh, and that's the scariest thing. As President-elect Hillary Clinton, this is still a shitstorm. It's still a horrific shitstorm.
No, and this is why I think the Republicans, they don't want to win this race, because they know that if Trump gets elected, God forbid, right, that, impeachment or he'll be gone, they'll be wiped out, that what's unified them before is opposition to somebody named Clinton or somebody named Obama. And if they have Hillary there and they know they can be investigating her and they can impeach, they're already talking about impeaching her, then it gives them time to unify and look like they're doing something while they're rolling dice as to which Supreme Court justice will die next. That's their strategy. That's their strategy. Is we're going to investigate her, and we might have to impeach her, and that unifies them, because they know that even if they lose the Senate this year, they're going to win it back in 2 years when the Democrats are defending 80% of the seats. They're going to increase their House minority, their House majority. And so it's much better for them as a party, and it gives them a much better chance to unify or to implode less if they lose. So I don't think they know what to do now, because they're working so hard trying to keep the Senate, which I think they're going to do, that, they really don't know, do we want to win the White House and maybe we can control Trump, or no, let's just lose. Well, how can we make the voters not vote for him but vote for our other people? And they're doing that. They're trying to do that in individual states. They're doing it in Pennsylvania. They're doing it in other states where they don't think they're likely to win the White House or get the electoral votes, but where they want to keep the Senate. So it's just I think they implode much less if they lose. And I think that's really what the grand plan is.
This just in, a brick wall on the side of Donald Trump's campaign office in Denver was vandalized by a perpetrator or perpetrators who wrote foul language and called the Republican nominee a thief and a pervert. The building's windows were defaced. It's an anti-message,
Right.
said the
Right. And do you know?
Denver cops.
And
And
who's
actually, what
famous
it
for
said, you
doing
know what
things
it
like
said?
that?
Trump equals pervert, thief, dash, asswipe. And I really appreciate the use of the term asswipe.
Asswipe.
We
Yes, I
said
know.
that on the
Do you-
playground in the 1980s, and today I think
And
the
it's
term is wholly appropriate. All three of them: pervert, thief,
just
asswipe.
absolutely. You know who does stuff like that? Who made himself famous and very rich and very powerful by doing things like that to his own clients, his own candidates, is Karl Rove. This sounds like a Karl Rove. Not Karl Rove himself did this one, but this is like the Karl Rove. This is just like the plant, the Fox News plant that Rudy Giuliani teased last week, that Brett Baer bought with the New York FBI agents that's been discredited, and that, it's the same thing. This is what you do. You plant these stories, or you plant things that make it look bad, and you claim victimhood. This is what you do. And I would not be surprised at all if this was something that the Republicans, or, the Trump campaign, or some supporter of the Trump campaign did to earn him sympathy, because there is a poll out of Colorado today that has him even or ahead 1 point. It's a Republican poll, so it's not going to be valued as the other one. But that's what it sounds like. This is dirty trick stuff. And there's no question the Clinton campaign is going to pull some dirty trick too. I'm not excluding them, but that's what this sounds like.
According to the Denver Post, and I'm going to agree with you, John. I think this was a setup, and a very effective one. The Denver Post says, "Oh, it's not our only case of political graffiti. However, the only other case of graffiti the Denver Post reports on was a mural of Bernie Sanders, which was defaced with the words loser, sellout, and traitor after he endorsed Hillary Clinton."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we live. So Mike, we have quotes. I have a quote this week, and it's from someone who's already been mentioned in this broadcast. And the quote is, "A leader with no followers is a man taking a walk by himself." And that quote came from John Boehner.
Wait a minute. Say that again. A leader is what?
A leader with no followers is a man taking a walk by himself.
What the hell is that?
And that's what, that's Boehner kind of saying, this is what I got out of this place, because why am I going to, I can go off and drink my wine and play golf and, get a nice tan, and why am I going to do this? Let Paul handle it.
You know what? But when it comes to the future of the country, man, this is gonna go down as the national disgrace right there. Why did the Congress popularity went absolutely rock bottom? It's never been lower. They did
but it's
nothing.
been there for the last 6-8 years. It's been in the 10-12% range for a while. So that there's nothing unusual about this. But yeah, look, we know what we've got. If we have Clinton, the Republicans are going to sit on everything she's got. They're going to try to impeach her. They're just going to do what's been happening the last 8 years, and it's going to be a battle of attrition, and including the Supreme Court is waiting for people to die off. And if it's Trump, it's going to be an international crisis, because a lot of the world is going to freak out. And do you think President Obama is going to try to restore faith? As he hands the reins off to Trump, the interesting thing is that if you look at what's happened, it came out of Britain this week that the British equivalent of the Supreme Court said you can't just go and get out of Brexit. You cannot do that. Parliament has to approve this. That you can't just invoke Chapter 50 or whatever it is of the EU charter to get out of Brexit. And so this means that the new Prime Minister, who came in because David Cameron honorably stepped down after he lost his effort to keep Britain in, which we would never do in this country, she now is going to have to call new elections. And this whole thing, talk about a rigged system. The voters put this in. Screw the voters. We're going to fix it. And by now, by the time they have a new election, the voters are, the 4% who thought Brexit was Tupperware or whatever they thought, they're not going to vote to get out of Brexit. It's very similar to the kind of talk that has been coming out of our republic and the Trump campaign. And they have an argument to make that the system is rigged, and they have a very good argument to make that this is like Brexit. And that's why, no matter what happens, assuming it's a really close race, result Tuesday night, it's going to be more shitstorm. Trump's not going to concede because there are many reports that the Russians are trying to figure out ways not necessarily to manipulate the election, but to manipulate emails and all these other things to make it look like the election's been rigged. So no matter what happens Tuesday night, unless it's a clear landslide, it's going to be bad. It's going to be more of this. It's rigged. It's who's going to fall on the sword first? Will anybody fall? It's going to be bad. I mean, it's bad. It's bad, and we're going to be a laughingstock no matter what. Less of a laughingstock if Clinton wins. But here's my question for you: when will the first article of impeachment proposal be filed in Congress? Congress starts the next session.
You're not
January
focused,
3rd,
John. You're not focused.
I am focused. Will they file articles of impeachment before she's inaugurated?
Hold up.
No, I don't want to
Sit
hold
down
up.
and
I
be
want your
quiet.
answer.
Everybody sit down and be quiet for a
I
second.
want your answer.
Now listen up.
What's going on back
Listen
there?
up. You've got an older gentleman who is supporting his candidate. He's not doing
What are
nothing.
you watching?
This is Obama earlier today. The hold up
Oh, yeah.
speech. You went off on a bit of a tangent, and I drowned you out with Obama. The audio from the YouTube video. Obama gets angry in Fayetteville, North Carolina, from a few hours earlier today. I'm sorry, it was irresistible, John. And I just yell "hold up" to you over and over. Hey, so your question to me is what? And I do understand why. Yes, go ahead.
When will the first article of impeachment, or when will the first formal proposal to impeach her, if she's elected, come up? Will it come up before she's inaugurated? Because Congress goes into session for 17 days before the inauguration.
Yeah, in those 17 days, it will be a mad scramble for power. And you think it's bad now. It will be punditry, but without the hope of involving the American people. There won't be a need to get together and yell hold up at each other. Because it'll happen, in those 17 days. I'm sure. If Trump gets in, he's going to file criminal charges and blah, blah, blah against blah, blah, blah. Who knows how that's going to go down.
Somebody's going to have to explain to him that he can't do that. Because he just can't go out and do that. But I assure you that as nervous and freaked out as Democrats and the Clinton people are, the Republicans, at least the Republicans right here in Washington, are more freaked out. They do not want him to get elected. They do not want to have to manage him and respond to him for 4 years.
Well, I'll tell you right now, there is.
She's going to win, but.
You think she's going to win? Wait a minute. You think she's going to win?
Well, again, every logical point directs us, including, backdoor, smoke-filled room stuff being done by Republicans to get her elected. Everything points to, rationally, to her getting elected. But I'm going to be less than rational and say, no, I think he's. Well, let me put it this way. I've said for months that he cannot win the election. But
you're listening to Trigger Warnings, less than rational talk radio.
Less than rational and radical. But I've said for months that he can't win the election, but she can lose it. I think she's losing it. and a lot of it is not her fault. Much of it is. Do you agree? Do you think that we will have an orange-haired baboon in the White House?
You know, I've looked
January?
at, I've examined thousands of memes this campaign season, and I was trying to think about which one is the truest, right? And I don't know if this is the truest meme, but it's close, and it's a pie graph, and it says, here's what it will help Hillary lose. And it's ISIS, Iraq, domestic policy, this, that, and the other. And you expect it all to be broken up, the pie chart. And no, the entire pie chart is one color. And that color says, what will cause Hillary Clinton to lose? Hillary Clinton. I believe that. I believe that she is a creature of her own making. She's been at it 30 years. The day she put a server in a basement in Denver or whatever the heck she did, it was a conscious choice. These people have been at it for a very long time. Trump is new to the game, right? But she is her own worst enemy. She has been from day one. And what has come out now with the data just shows me that the party was in with her and stood with her long before the official nomination process had ended or even begun. This truly has been a coronation. I'm not saying she's not the best choice between the two of them. It's a no-brainer. It's supposed to be. But I do believe this has been a long plan coming.
Well, I generally agree with you, although I'm going to disagree with you on one thing, and I'm in retrospect, given what's come out, I think had Bernie Sanders not said, I don't care about your damn emails, I think he might very well have taken this right to the wire and maybe even gotten the nomination, just as Obama did. Now, of course, he couldn't have known that there were going to be these leaks and hacks and all that. But
remember the number one thing he would say to the media? Whenever the media got around him, do you remember what he would say? Can we stop talking about this and talk about the issues facing the American people? And that was the context of his email comment, and he was right. He was right. And those issues, whatever those were, those are now long gone. And that's where they want us.
He can be, we can call him honorable, old-fashioned, whatever, or that he didn't really want it enough, because, there's some people who are honorable and they don't want it enough to do that. They're not gonna corrupt themselves or do something that they think is ethically wrong to win an election. So that may have been it. But I think had he not, and I think she probably knew that he would do that. I mean, I think they were pretty sharp, but I think in retrospect there was room for him to win this nomination. I mean, a lot of things would have had to break right, just as they did with Obama, but
they might have. They might have. We can't say they didn't break right.
They could have broken right. They could have. And at a certain level, maybe the superdelegates could have held it back, but they couldn't hold it back on Obama 8 years ago. Obama clearly was the choice of the voters and built his firewall, and no matter what the party elders and the superdelegates wanted to do, she wasn't going to win. Now, having the superdelegates gave her the opportunity to take it to the wire and run it out and, say, well, I only lost by about 100,000 votes and 21 million cracks in the glass ceiling and all that, and I think, or 18 million, whatever, and I think that was good and honorable, and I think, that was good for Obama because it made him a better candidate and all that. But there clearly was a resistance to her in the base of the party, whether that was ideological, whether it was they just don't like or trust her, whether a lot of them were too young to know or remember Bill Clinton. I don't know. But, I still think that if given an opportunity, no matter how corrupt she may be, I still think she has the skills and tools to be a decent president. I don't know if she's going to get the chance to do that, and if she is elected, if they're going to give her the chance. But, who knows? She certainly does a lot better in the public's eyes when she's not running for office. But when she's in office, who knows?
I agree.
Yeah.
the fact that you could, I agree with you. I mean, there was resistance to her inside of the party, and another guy gave it a shot. And now there's emails from John Podesta that say, how do you think we should stick the knife into this guy? And of course, that's politics as usual. That's been going on
That's
forever.
politics. Well, that's politics.
The fact that there's emails to prove it. I'm not going to go unpatriotic, and I'm going to go a step past Trump and say whoever wins, I don't even care how, but whoever's declared the winner, I will endorse as being my president. But for those folks that attended the Nevada, caucuses, the Nevada convention towards the DNC nominee, those people have an easy case to say, well, I can't accept that she's my president. I can understand why they would think that. It is unpatriotic and dangerous to think so. But that is a mess. If she were, who do you think? Think about the movie The Godfather for a second, because how sketchy is Hillary Clinton? And to take the cast of The Godfather, think of a character in The Godfather who is as sketchy as she is. Because there's plenty of people in The Godfather who are just kind of an accessory. Is she like Robert Duvall, like the lawyer? I'm not Italian.
Who was the guy who got his who had the horse's head in the bed?
Oh, the film producer.
Yeah, that's.
Um,
But that's only because I can see her political enemies doing that to her, and I can see her doing that to them. So that's
the scene in The Godfather that comes to mind. See, this was a big chance for you to portray Hillary Clinton as something less than sketchy and say the entire frame of The Godfather is a little much for this person who has worked on behalf of children and families, for 30 years.
No, I don't think it's a fair comparison. I don't. But
you could have said Mrs. Corleone, right?
Yeah, I don't have enough recall and trivial knowledge of The Godfather to go much deeper than the horse's head in the bed and the guy who got his eyes shot out. But look, Obama made sure that when he ran for president, as with all of those demographic and historical facets against him, that he was as airtight as possible. There were one or two little things there, his house in Chicago and all that, but Obama was airtight. Obama made sure he was as clean as possible, and not having a long public memory, or people not having a long public memory of him, helped. We can get into white male entitlement and all that other stuff, and they're all applicable. But if you don't look like the rest of the people on the money when you're running for the office, you have to be twice as clean, at least twice as clean, twice as solid, twice as capable as they are.
Wait a minute.
I don't like that.
I like that too, but Obama's the first.
That's the problem.
What's that?
And she isn't. She isn't twice as clean as they are. And so the aspects of sexism that are already there play out even greater, because no way Trump and no other candidate in history could have survived what Trump got. And the thing is that he just did everything that was so bad so frequently that it was like, that it became a laugh after a while, and he didn't quit, and the Republicans never pushed him out. And that's wrong. If Trump were anything but a rich white guy, he would be back in his penthouse. So all of that is wrong. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I would have said the same thing about a Republican woman or a minority to whom this would apply. But those are the rules of the game, and unfortunately, and she took big risks by not going with that. And maybe she thought she didn't have to. Maybe she thought that her competence, her capabilities, her record would speak for themselves. But and again, she's not done. She still is the favorite to win this thing. But all those factors compounded she didn't do what Obama did, which was make sure she was as squeaky clean as possible. And the server is an example. The server is kind of a sense of entitlement. And, it's nowhere near as bad as what Trump has done and what Trump has said, but the rules are somewhat different.
100 years from now, where do you think that server should be? In the Smithsonian?
Oh, it's going to be in that's a good question. I read yesterday that every day 10 billion gigabytes of data are transmitted through underwater cables. So I think it will be at the bottom of an ocean somewhere.
When I was trying to interrupt you before, because when it comes to the public's memory, I think it's important to understand Obama as the first Facebook president. I mean, it was around, but it really wasn't until Obama, and certainly his re-election, had a lot to do with the rhetoric that was happening on Facebook. I mean, there was that leaked video, the 47%, the Romney, but that was like very, very early ideas about what leaked information can look like, and also that there's a sharing network for it. As these WikiLeaks have rained down, some places have put out the call, hey, if you find anything, let us know, us, the press. So I think it's important to think about the public's memory in that. I can Google Hillary Clinton and spend weeks of my life in a way that even in 2008, there's no way that was, it was possible, but it wasn't viable the way it is today.
No, clearly, and this is some of the stuff I was hoping to get to in the next few broadcasts after the election. Although if Trump's elected, that may change our program list. I know. Obama clearly, remember perhaps the most famous or important line from Obama's campaign in 2008, which he used while he was in the midst of driving the Clintons crazy, was, I think he said it in Nevada before an editorial board, was, Bill Clinton wasn't a transformative president, Ronald Reagan was. That really got to the Clintons. That really got to them. But you know what? He was right. Ronald Reagan was a transformative president. He redrew the electoral map for a generation. He reframed the Supreme Court for a generation. Whether he did it himself or not, he did it. And that really got to the Clintons, and that was part of Obama's performance. That was part of his appearance and part of his style and verve, that he did speak truth to those things, but he did it in a way that was so glossy and non-threatening to so many people. If she loses, he's certainly less transformative, but certainly more so than Bill Clinton was. And Bill Clinton still has the highest approval rating of any outgoing president, anyone in history.
I'm sorry, I was trying to drown you out. You're talking about when Obama said bad things about Hillary? I don't know if you're allowed to do that these days.
No, he said bad things about Bill Clinton. Well, he didn't say a bad thing about Bill Clinton, but when he ran in 2008, as he was, just starting to take control of the race, he said that Bill Clinton was not a transformative president, that Ronald Reagan was. And, given that he was running in the Democratic primary against somebody named Clinton, that was a daring thing to say. But, technically he was right. Bill Clinton wasn't a transformative president, and largely because of the same reasons that Hillary Clinton is struggling now, is that, they kind of didn't watch themselves. And,
You mean watch themselves and come across as transformative despite having been an insider?
And do the job. But they weren't insiders. Bill Clinton wasn't an insider when he got elected. He was an outsider.
Well, but he's been an insider most of my life.
Now he's an insider, but when he ran for president in 1992, he wasn't an insider. He was an outsider from a small state.
Well, you can understand why somebody my age in their 30s would see him as an insider.
Well, he is now, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he ran, he was not. He was. I mean, Bill Clinton, when he ran in 1992, I mean, with all of the stuff, with the Jennifer Flowers and all these scandals, you know, just not even 4 years after Gary Hart had gotten out of the race for things that were far less significant. It was still part of the glamour and the glitz and the appeal. And, you know, he was lucky because he had Ross Perot to guide him through twice. You know, Bill Clinton didn't come close to a 50% of the vote either time he got elected. So, I don't know. This is just very interesting. I you know, we are, I just have a feeling that Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning, a lot of people are going to wake up and have just this really bad hangover, but it's not going to be because they drank too much because they were celebrating.
You're really full of doom and gloom there in the nation's capital.
No, I mean, I'm being, it's not a result I want or would find favor with, but I think, this looks, there are too many signs that, you know, she's one, he is one, you know, polling error away from being president. And if, you know, one of the polls is wrong in Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania, it's Pennsylvania where there's a poll that came out today that he's even. It's a Republican poll, but, you know.
Wait a minute. A couple bump point in the polls. Isn't that worth the network's ratings for the weekend? Because by Monday, things can be back to where they were. Right?
But the best strategy that the Clinton campaign has had, and I have to believe that they had an idea that something was coming down from the FBI last week, was the whole time, the whole month of October, was vote early, go out and vote early, because you want people to vote early if something's happening later. And so the best shot she has of winning, or at least empirically, is that they've banked a lot of votes. That in a lot of these states, or North Carolina, Florida, Nevada, the early voting numbers look good for the Democrats. And if you bank, a lot of votes, North Carolina could be 60, 70, 80% of the vote will be in before Election Day. You bank enough votes, when people can't really change their mind after the fact, that might do it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not doom and gloom. I just think if you look at this, momentum is a lot. And you can't possibly get polls done fast enough to gauge the momentum that could come out of that, 5, 6, 7, 8% that's either undecided or isn't going to vote for Johnson or Jill Stein, and where that's going to go. Or if the black vote doesn't turn out like it's supposed to, because the black vote isn't turning out like it's supposed to, which is why Obama's message constantly is, remember my legacy? The earth is teetering on its axis. We need you guys to come out and vote. I mean,
Yes. How are we doing on your talking points? John prepared talking points for...
None. No talking points. Questions. None.
Oh, questions.
The only question I got out was, will the first impeachment filing be made before she's inaugurated?
Yeah, I would say before impeachment filings before most Americans have discarded the last of their Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, they can't do that because that's a different session of Congress.
Oh,
it makes no sense to file impeachment now because the term of Congress ends January 2nd, so there's no time. But
they never have any time.
Here's the question.
Yeah, what's a different question?
Let's say you and I audition and we don't get our show on Trump TV. How much will a monthly subscription cost, and will you pay it?
Oh, how much will a monthly subscription cost to Trump TV?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to cost anything.
No, it's got to cost something.
I think we're going to make broadcasting great again. And we're going to sell ads just the way everybody else sells ads, which is not interrupt your viewing experience. But in fact,
okay.
providing you ads simultaneously to original content. So Trump
Okay.
TV will not, I mean, it will look like a YouTube, plus a Drudge Report, you know, plus a guest columnist kind of thing.
Will it be over the airways or will it be like on the
No, and then,
internet?
I mean, over the air would have to. What do you mean over the air? What is this?
Will it be a
1978?
television? No, will it be on your basic cable system or will it be internet
No,
or
no.
satellite or direct TV?
Your basic
Okay.
cable system may not live through the next presidential administration. Do you agree?
Well, neither will my driver car.
Well, and neither will your server. Hey!
Oh,
But
it's
no,
over at the bottom of the ocean.
seriously, the infrastructure that supports cable television is really gonna die. I mean, if print media has died a horrible death during the second Obama administration, I think cable television news, I mean, CNN inside of a browser window is what I'm accustomed to. I
Well,
don't
and you know
seek
the
out the
network
cable, you know.
in the wonderful Washington Post today. One of the big articles is the networks are terrified of what happens Wednesday morning because they lose viewers like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so it's back to God knows what. Okay, that's a good question.
Hey, so I did just
so-
enter Trump.tv into my browser window, and guess what I got?
yes, you've got
I got this. I'm just going to read it verbatim. Vote no to Trump. He wasn't even organized enough to purchase this domain or www.trump.tv at public
Right.
auction, and he wants to run the USA, question mark. Days after I won this domain at public auction, I received a letter from Trump attorneys threatening to sue me for trademark infringement for purchasing this domain. Guess who still owns this domain? Not that guy. Now let's discuss why you
Okay.
should not vote no to Trump. In 99, oh, these are fun. In 99 to 2000, Trump was number 1, pro-choice, except for partial birth. True? False?
he's been pro-choice publicly forever, basically.
In 1999 to 2000, Trump was in favor of an assault weapon ban.
Yes, that's true.
In 99 to 2000, Trump was prosecuted for anti-gay hate crimes.
I don't think Trump personally was. Some part of his organization might have been. But
In 99 to 2000, Trump has proposed a 14.25% tax on all wealth to pay off the national debt.
that sounds like something he would have proposed because he was thinking of running for the Reform Party nomination in 2000. So he started to act serious for a while.
So what you're voting for then is not what he says, because that can easily change, but who he is. And I don't need to tell you who he is, comma. Ooh, sentence. It's a comma splice, John. It's a comma splice. And I don't need to tell you who he is, comma. He's done a great job of exemplifying that to everyone over the past year. Apparently not, says the owner of the domain Trump.tv. I'm sorry, Trump.tv redirects to, dig this, Trump.org.
Yeah, he didn't buy that one either.
That's really not good.
Yeah,
That
there's a lot
isn't
of
very
articles about
organized.
this. There's been a lot of articles about this that they just didn't. Again, which suggests that this was not, nor is still not, a serious political campaign. It just might happen to win.
All right. So what else is on your question list?
Okay. We have not heard your prediction as to who's going to win, or do you not want to go into the pundit chamber?
I think what's going to happen on election day, take this as entirely as metaphor, but if you remember the ending of Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, a doomsday device is brought in, and that doomsday device is a game changer for everybody. And I'm not saying that there is a doomsday device, but I think take that ending of that film as metaphor for what will happen on Election Day. If Trump wins, it is a doomsday device to not just the opposing party, but the party that he says he is. And if she wins, it's a doomsday device for the half of the country that was buying into somebody who's not an insider. Because I think we can agree, like, well-intentioned or not, she's an insider, right? And he is not. And maybe that's the nitty-gritty of this. But I think the metaphorical doomsday device.
He's an insider. Okay, well, does that mean that I should make sure I'm not downwind?
That could mean...
Or it's metaphorical?
It's metaphorical. It's metaphorical. I mean, I don't know what that means. I really don't. I think the device could be operated on November 9, in which, massive things happen, and politically...
Martial law, we declare martial law and all that?
An official letter from either party saying the person who was nominated got it unfairly. And we cannot acknowledge this person as running under our party. If that letter happened on Monday, we'd be totally done for, right?
Wait, which party? Which party's going to write the letter? The Republican?
Either party.
No,
of course not. Who wants to set off a doomsday device?
Kellyanne Conway said yesterday that Hillary Clinton should drop out. Why aren't Democrats calling for her to drop out of the race?
I don't know. I don't know why. Well, wait. Democrats calling for her to drop out of the race. I think Democrats were calling for somebody other than her before she was the race. They really were. Most of them were, I wonder. Most of them were.
I don't know.
Now, I don't know either, and I don't think we'll ever know.
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Some of my other questions are...
Yeah, bring them on.
Some of my other questions now are... Okay. You're not predicting. Okay.
Well, no, wait. Let me extrapolate once more. The doomsday device could be the best weekend of their lives for either Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, in which neither one of them are going to win. But what if one of them usurps enough electoral votes?
No, they have to win to get electoral votes. But here's an interesting scenario. This was not on my question list, but this should be my last question. Because this is like a leave them hanging until next week question. Let's say, this is kind of a doomsday scenario. Let's say Trump, because right now CNN says Clinton's at 268 electoral. Let's say Trump wins everything else and gets 270 to her 268. Okay? Let's say he wins in a very, very, very razor-thin race.
Yeah.
He's not president until the electors cast their votes and Congress ratifies the tally.
Right. So that congressional ratification process...
Well, no, it's not Congress. It's the electors. Electors, in some states, they may be constitutionally bound to vote for the candidate the state voted for, but in some states they're not. Electors can vote the way they want, and you could have a court or all you need are two people to change their votes in a 270, 268 scenario.
What state do you think those electors are being secured?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, sugar.
There's your doomsday scenario.
I was right. Doomsday device.
If a faithless elector says, I can't possibly vote for this man. Or, what if that 13-year-old girl who claims Trump raped her in 1994 actually does have a press conference and says this is what happened, and something comes out, and Trump, and for some reason that, like if there's like a post-Brexit, and people, we didn't really want to do this. We were just having a protest vote. We didn't really think he was going to win. That could be interesting. That could be an unprecedented, and we had this. This is how we got the end of Reconstruction back in 1876 when we had the compromise and and all the Southern electors somehow voted Republican, and the South got demilitarized by the North, and slavery was de facto back, and all that. There's your doomsday scenario. If Trump wins in a really narrow race, and somehow a couple of faithless electors decide to vote for somebody else, and they don't have to vote for Clinton; they can vote for somebody else. And then, or if it's 269, and the House of Representatives has to vote on it,
Oh, my goodness.
the House could pick somebody else. They can't pick somebody who wasn't
Pick
on the
somebody
ballot.
else? What do you mean, a third party? They can't pick somebody
could pick-
else.
The way they do it is every state gets one vote, and whoever gets the most votes wins. Well, the Republicans, I think, dominate, control a majority of congressional delegations. So if it's straight party vote, Trump should be the next president. But what if the Republicans say, we don't really want this clown as president? Well, I don't know. That's where it could be interesting. That's it. That's the doomsday scenario. And I hear your voice this time. I hear you're trying to
Hold
sound
up.
up this time. So
I'm now playing the Obama hold up speech. Whenever you just double me over with the political possibilities of the election of 2016.
Well, there you go. I had my little question list ready to go, and you artfully, between a combination of hold up, and your doomsday scenarios, you got me going on that route, and there's a reasonable, legal, constitutional doomsday scenario. There you go.
I knew there was one to be had. All right, let's make sure we cover everything. Is there anything else on your question list? I think here on my end, I just have one more piece of junk mail, but what else do you have?
The only other thing I throw out is what percentage of the vote combined will Johnson and Stein get? Because the Libertarians need 5% to get federal funding. I don't think they get it. I think that the election is going to be decided by the 2 or 3 or 4% of people who don't vote for Stein or Johnson, and vote for one of the other two.
Do you feel like Johnson and Stein voters are an unchangeable demographic? I mean, can we count on those folks?
I don't know who they are.
I
don't know who they are. I mean, Johnson's big in a couple of states. He's big in New Mexico, and that's why Trump's gone to New Mexico, and he's smart because it's margin of error there too. Because Johnson's going to get 15-18%. Trump can sneak in with 40%, and win the state. I don't know. I mean, I know Bill Weld gave the most rousing endorsement of Hillary Clinton anybody has given her this year, Wednesday night. And, which I told you I thought he was going to do. So he's kind of broken off from Johnson. I don't know who the Jill Stein voters are. I think Susan Sarandon is the only one. Susan Sarandon and Cornel West are the only ones voting for
Wait,
Jill
that's
Stein.
three of us. That's three of us. And I'm proud.
That's
you know what?
three, okay.
Dude, I'm proud to stand with those other two people.
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In among this mess, truly, I cast my absentee ballot weeks ago in the state of Vermont, not writing in Bernie Sanders, which I've seen people truly writing in Bernie Sanders because that's what they want to do. I do not endorse that. I do endorse Jill Stein. I think she's reasonable. And I think the pipeline that's going on and her loud voice about that should have been a divisive and important issue in the campaign of 2016.
Yeah. I think the Obama administration is trying to find a way to do it do the pipeline another way.
They're trying.
But the thing is that what happened? Yeah, they are. They've announced they're trying to find ways around it. I don't think they. That's. I mean, look. I think it's great that there are other candidates. I wish Gary Johnson actually acted more like a real presidential contender instead of, what's Aleppo and I don't know any foreign leaders. And I think there was. I mean, I think if Bill Weld had been at the top of that ticket instead of Johnson, I think there could have been some real saturation there. I mean, not necessarily 15-20%, but I don't think they're going to be spoiled. They might be spoilers in New Mexico. He might be spoiler in New Mexico. I mean, in his home state, he could take enough votes away from Clinton that Trump could sneak in. I don't think it'll happen, but he could.
Well,
I don't think,
It was weeks and weeks ago that we were talking about Bernie Sanders and your big point, and you were right. The media did not ever take him seriously as a candidate. They did not vet him the way they had vetted other candidates. They treated him like fringe. And we could take every WikiLeaks off the table. And I'm going to really indict the media. They haven't taken Bernie seriously, but they didn't take Hillary seriously. They didn't take Trump seriously.
But why they didn't take Bernie seriously is not the reason that is not the same reason that a lot of Bernie people are upset about that. They didn't take him seriously because Bernie was good ratings. That they didn't want a landslide in the Democratic primary. They wanted a race. They didn't think Hillary Clinton was a terribly magnetizing or good for ratings candidate. Bernie was deliverance for them. So they didn't want to vet Bernie. If they vetted Bernie would have been out faster. Now, I think if Bernie had not said the thing about spam emails and had been vetted more seriously on issues you and I have talked about, he would have had to have more meat in his and depth to his policies. And I think if Bernie had actually had more substantive depth to his policies instead of just kind of talking points, under the right circumstances. Again, because Obama did too. Now, it's not that people focused on it, but Obama did have serious substantive enough policy. I think if the media had vetted him and made him really act like a serious candidate in terms of, the depth of the policies and the details and all that, I think this has been very different. I don't think Bernie under any circumstances would have been elected president, but I think it could have been different. And, if you get the nomination, anything can happen. I don't think he would have won. I think Michael Bloomberg would have been in the race because he said he would have been in the race if it was Trump and Sanders. In which case Trump, I think, would have won. But I don't believe that the pure apparatus of the Democratic Party, no matter how deeply it was stacked in favor of one candidate against the other, would have overcome the popular sentiment, because it didn't overcome that in 2008 with Obama. And, Obama was a smart enough politician to bring her onto the team and to, let her go at him and turn him into a better candidate and ultimately a better president. So I don't think that, I think that Bernie actually, in retrospect, could have taken this right to the wire, if not won. And, it's all academic now because I don't think he's running for president again, but
Bernie,
win or lose,
Trump,
especially lose,
Wait, Bernie, Trump, and Michael Bloomberg?
Yeah. Well, Bloomberg said he would have run if it was Trump and Sanders. That's what he said. And then he would have spent $1 billion if he was serious to win. And if he realized that he was going to get Trump elected, he would have dropped out. But I don't think Bernie against Trump, I don't think Bernie would have beaten Trump head to head. I don't think Bernie would have won. But because I think Trump would have it would have been a different campaign. But I don't know. Anything is possible. But I don't agree with you that the apparatus in the Democratic Party was so rigidly set up and cooked that it would have overcome any popular sentiment. And it was there. And, the biggest problem the Democrats had is that they had a superstar in Obama, and they relied on him all the way to the end. They relied on his personality, on his inspirational story, on his ability to move people, on his ability to rewrite the electoral map, and they didn't really build a bench. And so she was the bench, and there's nothing wrong with her as the bench because she's got, on paper is a good bench, but
bench.
They didn't have anybody ready to stand in who was going to readily pick up that the voters he had brought in. Now, Bernie started to do it, but Bernie would have trouble with the tradition. I mean, Obama bridged the gap between the old Democrats and the new Democrats. This governing coalition of well-educated white college graduates and minorities, that's a pretty tough quilt to knit, and Obama did it. And we'll see if Hillary can do it.
Hold up.
But
Hey, hold up, John. If did the DNC cook the entire thing for her? If they did, we wouldn't know it. Now, my name's not Julian Assange, but if they cooked it for her, I don't think we'd have evidence of it, right? And I don't think anybody thought that we would.
But I still don't. I still think if the popular sentiment of the voters had been like it was in 2008, the party machinery is going to break at some point. Whether it's not necessarily the staff in the DNC, but the superdelegates 8 years ago, they got the message. Wait a minute, Obama's our ticket, and they peeled off from Hillary little by little, and the party didn't stand in her way, and the superdelegates didn't throw the race. And, they had a very successful two-term president. So, again, this is academic at this point. I think she and Obama have a necessary partnership because he needs him to win. He needs her to protect his legacy. And boy, the rally in Philadelphia Monday night at Independence Hall, that's going to be interesting, huh? Bill and Hillary and Chelsea and Barack and Michelle and I don't know who's going to be there, but it's at least those five. Maybe Joe Biden will show up. That's going to be quite a rally, don't you think?
Yeah, not as much fun as the convention sounded like.
The one question I had for you on that, and this should really be our party flow, so to speak, is at that rally in front of Independence Hall, who will kiss whom, and will anybody punch anybody else in the mouth?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just finding out now from you that election night for the Democrats will be celebrated in Philly. Home of that convention that went so well.
No. That's the last rally. It will be Monday night.
Oh, I see.
It'll be Monday night in Independence Hall.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, right. That's their last rally. They're saying Pennsylvania. She's making 3 trips to Pennsylvania between today and Monday because they think that's their firewall.
Wow.
And there's not any real early voting in Pennsylvania. So if there's any place where the firewall is going to crack, it would be Pennsylvania. I don't think it will, but I think it might be somewhere else. I mean, New Hampshire may have already cracked. If New Hampshire's cracked and Trump wins everything else, you win.
Where is the Democratic celebration on election night? Do you happen to know?
No, they're both in New York. Trump's having his in a small venue because he's superstitious, and she's having hers in a very large building with a glass ceiling, which is that's the idea.
Are they going to break it?
I don't know. If she doesn't win, it might break itself. They might have 20,000 people in there, each armed with a rock.
Right.
And they will throw it. They'll get those T-shirt shooters. They have.
All right, no, we're not endorsing anything like that. On election night, everyone should stay calm. In fact, for the rest of the duration of this election, I am going to call for calm. Do vote. But at this point, you can vote and you don't have to say anything about it. Unlike us We feel compelled. One more piece of junk mail, John.
Okay,
It's
yes.
from the Colorado Republican Committee, and it says there are two statements. The first one: the balance of the Supreme Court is in your hands.
Oh,
Is that true?
think of all that.
Is that
Think
false?
of all that old, dry skin. Ooh.
Right, not the entire Supreme Court, but the balance of. Here's what remains.
It just reminds me of those sappy love songs. My heart is in your hand. Ooh.
Yeah, the balance
Take my
of the
heart,
Supreme
Peter.
Court. The balance of the Supreme Court is in your hands.
Notice they use the word balance, and they use balance in Supreme Court, but they don't say scales of justice.
No.
You know?
No, and they do
Why
not
not?
endorse any candidate, but there is a picture of Donald J. next to those words. Is that a violation?
I don't know. Ted Cruz managed to do a whole rally for Trump yesterday and not mention his name. I mean, that is art. That is really art.
You know what? I'm going to go do that tonight. I'm going to hold a Trump rally, but I'm not going to talk about Trump, and I'm not going to talk about politics.
I don't know. I think even if Clinton wins, I think the Democrats do not win the Senate. I think the Republicans have very artfully gotten across the message. We need to balance Hillary Clinton out. We need to balance her out. We can't have a Democratic Senate, and it looks like the Democrats are going to lose. They're going to lose Indiana with a sure shot candidate. They're going to lose Indiana. They might not win Nevada. Looks like they get Pennsylvania, but if somehow Trump wins Pennsylvania, that's going to stay Republican. They might not get Wisconsin because I don't think the Democrats get the Senate.
Hey, I gotta say,
I don't think it's going to happen.
In a non-political way, shout out to the Sun Valley High School class of 1997, Aston, Pennsylvania. We were one of those weird classes that just, when Facebook happened, we all friended each other. And I know some high school classes haven't done that, but it just kind of happened. And little by little, people drift away or they're not on Facebook anymore, but there are some people that are violently political within my high school class. And some people that are, getting turned on and off. And I've seen so many conversations about those I received my high school diploma with. And it's amazing that you keep talking about Pennsylvania being a swinging state. Well, it makes me think of all those high school folks that I know. And I've seen you now for years thinking about politics, and now you've got to make a big decision. And really, your vote is going to matter more than... John, would you say their vote's going to matter more than others?
Well, it matters more than your vote in Vermont and my vote in Illinois.
I think that's an important thing to understand. Last line from me and from the junk mail. Your vote ensures American values remain a priority.
Crap. Dong.
That's an applause line? Yeah, that's an applause line.
I will close it off. I will close it off with my other great quote today. By the way, and I believe it would have been the 139th birthday of Will Rogers.
Oh.
So today is Will Rogers' birthday.
Oh, okay.
Will Rogers said many things. He was kind of the 20th century Mark Twain, but with radio and television. Well, he died in the 1930s, but he was in like 60. But he was a voice, he was a personality. He's famous for so many things. One is I never met a man I didn't like, and that was said in the political context because he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But the other thing he said that was just wonderful, and it's a great one-liner. It's kind of like a Henny Youngman, "Take my wife, please" line. He said, "I'm not a member of any organized political party. I'm a Democrat."
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
And the thing is that after Tuesday, thank you. What many people will be able to say, and what many people in this very place in which I am sitting, our nation's capital, will be happy to say, win or lose, is I'm not. I don't belong to any organized political party. I'm a Republican.
That's right.
That's what they will be saying, and it doesn't matter whether they have the White House or not. That's the great thing. The Republicans have nothing to lose. Well, actually, they do have a lot to lose, because if Trump's president, we will never see Republicans win anything again. But that is, just think how they will go Will Rogers. They can go Will Rogers. Paul Ryan on his way out the door when he gets reelected and then leaves, and he'll keep all of his campaign money that they'll use it to put his kids through law school. We'll say, nope, I don't belong to any organized political party. I'm a Republican. See you later.
All right. Hey, you've been listening to Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. I told you to be focused, John. I hope everybody has a great election night and enjoys the country that we will have coming forward. John, get back safe from Washington. Hope you can make a parade out there.
You and I should be in contact Tuesday night, or Wednesday morning, or whenever it is.
You never know, folks. Maybe an election night special, but we will catch you. No, but we'll catch up. All right, folks. Thanks again. We'll catch you another time.
Peace to all, and to all, a good night. Take care.
Oh, my. All right.